Whenever we see an x value of 0, that y coordinate is going to be right there on my y-axis. That's going to be super, super important for us to note when we talk about today's lesson. 1, 3, 1 to the right, 3 spaces up, and 2, 5, 2 to the right, 5 spaces up. Once again, it should always form a perfectly straight line through each of those points. In this case, we only have 4. The warm-up, we had 5, but either way, we get a nice straight line like that. What's my m, what's my slope here for this equation? 2. What's my b, what's my y-intercept? 1. 2 in front of the x, 1 coming after the x, m is 2, and b is 1. This is going to be the central part of 4.3 today, is identifying m and b. So hopefully we're familiar with that. Quickly moving on down to number 2. We're going to go through and plug these numbers in. We've got 3 times -1 minus 3, 3 times 0 minus 3, 3 times 1 minus 3, and 3 times 2 minus 3. And whatever we get for each of these, it's going to give us each of these y coordinates there. Anyone not have this worksheet? You guys looking at it over there? Okay. So 3 times -1 gives us -3. And what's -3 minus 3 more? -6, right? We got to be careful with that one. That always trips us up a little bit. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3 is -3. 3 times 1 is 3. What is 3 minus 3, though? 0. And 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 3 gives us 3. Again, we see that we're doing plus 3 each time on our table, which makes sense because our slope here is 3. But what's my y-intercept of this line? -3. We got to make sure we're including that negative sign. And again, we see on the table that when my x is 0, my y is -3. That's going to be my y-intercept right there on the y-axis, directly on that axis. Let's plot the rest of these points. -1, -6 is down here. 1, 0 is right there. And 2, 3 is all the way up there. Once again, making a nice straight line. We've got an uphill line, which means we've got a positive slope. That's exactly what we saw in our equation. M is equal to +3. Something else I want to notice, I want to point out between these two lines. These lines look very similar, right? But in number 2, our line is slightly steeper than our line in number 3, which means it's getting closer to a vertical line. That's because our slope is bigger in number 2 than it is in number 1. We had a slope of 2, then we had a slope of 3. If we think about our conversation about treadmills, imagine that's increasing the incline. It's getting steeper and steeper and steeper as we go up, right? Now, number 3. What's my slope in number 3? Anyone know what my slope in number 3 is? Yeah, Roz? Beautiful. M is equal to 1/2. That's exactly right. And what's my b? 0. That's right. We have no number being added or subtracted on the end here. So our b is going to be 0. Not 1. It's going to be 0. So all we have to do is take half of each of these numbers, half of -4, half of -2, half of 0, and half of 2, which gives us -2, -1, 0, and 1. -4, -2, -2, -1, 0, 0, that's my y-intercept right there, and 2, 1. Anyone know what type of relationship we have here in number 3? Starts with a P. Proportional. How can we tell this is proportional? It's linear and It goes through the origin. That's right. If we have any kind of straight line that goes through the center of our graph, we know that it's proportional. Darius, you're correcting, right? Let's put that away, please. Proportional, because it goes through the origin and it's a straight line. We can always also tell that it's proportional when there's no b value being added or subtracted to the end. Every time we see that blank space, we know that we have the point 0, 0 on this line. All right? Give me a thumbs up. Anyone's graph look exactly like mine in number 3? A couple of us? Good. Okay. If not, take some time to make those corrections. Especially with all this like math we have to do, all this multiplying and subtracting and adding. It's easy to make a mistake because we're going really quick. So definitely make sure you're taking your time, all right? Especially on the test we're taking next week. That's right. I'm not sure yet. I have a unit test ready to go. I have a final ready to go. We might end up doing the unit test as the final and then taking a big final term too. I haven't decided yet. I'll think about it. Question? Do I have the final schedule? We'll look at it after this, yes. But at this time, in exactly 7 days, we'll be doing some kind of test in here. Because today is Thursday, you guys will have your first and second period finals on Thursday, right? 4th and 6th on Friday, that's right. So we got the last one, 4, negative 2x plus 4. What's my m here? Is it negative 2 or is it 4? Negative 2. What's my b? 4. So we'll plug in each of these x values from our table, multiply them all by negative 2, and then add 4 to that. So we got 0, 1, 2, 3. What's negative 2 times 0? Negative 2 times 0? 0 plus 4 is 4. What's negative 2 times 1? Negative 2. Plus 4 gives us 2. Good. Negative 2 times 2 gives us negative 4. Be careful. Negative times a positive always gives us a negative. And negative 4 plus 4 cancels out and gives us 0. What's our change in y that we can see on this table? If we go from 4 to 2 and from 2 to 0, we're subtracting 2. Hey, look at that. That's our slope right there. That matches up. We know we're in good shape. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Plus 4 gives us negative 2. So here's my y-intercept again. Whenever we have an x value of 0, the y value right next to it is going to land right on the y-axis at 4. And then we've got 1, 2, 2, 0, and 3, negative 2. Now, what do we notice about the shape of this graph here? It's going downhill. If we put our little stick figure person on the left, they'd have to walk down this slope. So we should have a negative slope. Is that what we saw in our equation, a negative slope? Absolutely. So all these things that we've been learning are all connected. You can basically check your work. This is especially helpful on a test when I can't help you out at all. You can check your work in multiple different ways to see if you've got the correct work going on. Right? If you see that, hey, my line is sloping uphill, but my slope here is negative, take a look back at what you did. Something may be wrong. Question? Yes, you can always use everything on the everything. Good question. Final questions on worksheet 17. Everyone all good on that? All right. Go ahead.